This video will help you install your SimPrep automated liquid handling station. The SimPrep system consists of an ASX 560 or ASX 280 autosampler, a Syringe module, and system software. For additional information, refer to the quick installation guide included with the system. Before you begin, familiarize yourself with the parts of the autosampler. In front are the Z drive assembly, the arm, the rinse station, the power indicator, the standards rack, and the sample tray. On the back are the power switch, the serial ports, the USB port, the power connector, the Z drive rotor, and the peristaltic pump. Also, familiarize yourself with the syringe pump module. We will install two syringes on the front. The left syringe is also called Syringe 1, and the right syringe is called Syringe 2. At the top of each syringe is a valve. Here are the syringe drive thumb screws, the ready status indicator, and the power button. On the back, we will be using only the power connector and the serial port. You will be installing the Z drive assembly and thumb screws, the rinse station, rinse and waste tubing, the sample probe, clamps, and ferrule, a 1 milliliter syringe, and a 10 milliliter syringe, syringe to probe tubing, syringe to diluent tubing, tubing coupler, 2 USB to serial cables, and power supplies with cords for both the autosampler and syringe module. To mount the Z drive, find the Z-axis carriage on the arm of the autosampler. The Z drive will be attached to this carriage. Slide the Z drive onto the arm until the two holes align with the matching holes in the carriage. Secure the Z drive to the carriage using the two thumb screws. Tighten the thumb screws using your fingers. Connect the Z drive cable. Feed the cable through the rear guide block and around the rotor. Tighten the nut to secure the cable sleeve to the guide block. Position the cable so about 2 millimeters of cable extends past the clamp. Hold the cable against the rotor and secure by finger tightening the thumb screw. Now connect the rinse station. Locate the short piece of tubing with an adapter in the middle. Connect the large end to the lower inlet fitting on the rinse station. Connect the waste tubing to the upper outlet fitting. The tubing should completely cover the barb of both fittings. Press the plumbed rinse station onto the mounting bracket. Connect the inlet tube to the bottom fitting of pump channel 2. This is the channel farthest from the back of the autosampler. Connect the tube from the bottle of rinse solution to the fitting at the top of this channel. To install the sample probe, insert the probe clamps into the Z-axis slider. You may need to loosen the nuts on the clamps before installing the probe. The sample probe must be trimmed to an appropriate length. To determine where to cut the tube, hold the tip of the probe even with the bottom of the Z drive. Now hold the sample tube alongside the spiral wrap. There should be a generous loop to allow movement as shown. The tubing should be long enough to allow the sample probe to move easily up and down, even in the far corner positions. You will trim the tubing just past the spiral wrap. Cut the tubing. Next, slide the blue fitting and ferrule onto the cut tubing. Use the tubing coupler to seat the ferrule. Guide the probe straight down through the Z-axis slider until the tip of the probe is level with the bottom of the Z-drive. Tuck the end of the probe tubing into the spiral wrap. Finally, tighten the probe clamps. Mount the syringes. Begin by plugging the power cord into the back of the syringe pump module. Power on the unit. Insert the end of the large syringe into the port on the bottom of the left valve. Turn the syringe to screw in place. Pull the syringe plunger down to meet the thumb screw. Tighten the thumb screw to secure the syringe. Repeat this process with a small syringe on the right side of the module. Fluid connections. Identify the syringe to probe tubing. Fittings are pre-installed at both ends. Connect the sample probe to the threaded coupler. Connect the other end of the syringe to probe tubing to the front center port of the right valve on the syringe module. Identify the syringe to diluent tubing. This tubing comes with a threaded fitting on one end. Connect the tubing to the port on the left side of the left valve. Place the other end of the tubing into the diluent container. Power supply and communications. Connect the serial to USB cable between the host computer and the syringe module. Plug the power supply into the power connector on the autosampler. Connect the second serial to USB cable between the host computer and the autosampler. Power on the autosampler.